Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Swindell. I am the founder of the HBCU Hub app, the world's first app that connects students to admissions recruiters at HBCUs all across the country. And this is the second episode of our web series called How to Build Apps with Wix. First, we'll be diving into our agenda, then we'll be going over the topics that we'll be discussing today. So hopping right into it, we'll be discussing our build plan. What is the actual plan and focus of our application? Second, we'll be looking over some of the terminology and different concepts that we'll be using to complete this project. And lastly, we'll be discussing the differences between no code, low code, and also native app development. What are some of the pros and cons around all of them? And what are we doing for this actual project? So first, we're going over the actual plan for our build. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we will be focusing on what is the actual plan for this build. And going over that, we first want to focus on form follows function. So what does that mean? Anytime you're building something, you first want to focus on the function that has, and then follow that with the form or how it looks cosmetically. An example of this is, let's say you're looking for a new car, and that car has to have the basic function of sitting 5 people comfortably to transport your family from one place to another. With the concept of form follows function in mind, we wouldn't go look at a Corvette. We wouldn't be at that dealership. We probably may be looking at a nice Bronco or a cool sedan, but wouldn't be looking at a two-seater car to fit 5 people. Whatever we're building, we want the function of it to be the primary focus before we focus on the cosmetics and how it looks. So with that in mind, what is the purpose of our application? So we are building an emergency contact app. This app allows users going to college out of state to keep a rolling list of local family members that they can contact in case of an emergency, no matter their location. So now that we understand the function that our application is serving, we can start building the form around that function. Focusing on those concepts, a few things that we'll be using for this actual project is going over user interfaces, how to actually build a user interface, a database, what is a database, dynamic pages, and how do we encompass all of this into one project to actually build our emergency contact app. So speaking about those concepts, let's actually go ahead and look at some of them. That first terminology being, and the actual dictionary definition will be posted for you all to see as well. That's the one that we'll be focused on. We'll be going over the dictionary definition, and I'll be giving a real world example behind that definition as well. So first terminology is a user. That's what we're building for. We're building to have a good user experience and to solve a problem for a user. What's a user? You and I, we're users. Every time you pick up a phone and you use your Instagram app, your Facebook app, any application that you use, your news application, you are the user. The user is a person who uses or operates something, especially a computer or other machine. When you get inside your car and you're driving, you're the user of that vehicle. So the user is the person that's engaging with whatever that product is. Secondly, user interface. User interface can also has an acronym called UI, and it means the same exact thing. User interface, UI, same exact thing. This is the means by which a user, which is yourself, and a computer system interact. In particular, the use of input devices and software. So if we're thinking of the new Instagram update, for example, when you like a post, a heart now pops up and flies up to the top of the screen. That is an update to the user interface. A couple years ago, you would double tap a post and it would just have a heart appear on the bottom left corner. Now that heart still appears on the bottom left corner, but one pops up as a GIF and then flashes up to the top of your screen. So that's an example of user interface and changes to a user interface over time. Next, database. Now, this is a term that can scare people. We could think that we're getting super technical when we're talking about databases, but to put it in layman's terms, a database is an organized collection of structured information or data typically stored electronically in a computer system. So one of the most basic databases you guys can think about is actually your contact list. That's a database of contacts. That's a database of numbers that you have within your phone. You can edit that database by deleting a number, by updating a phone number. It's so many things that you can do within that database. So that's one of the most basic examples of a database, and I put air quotes because it could get a lot more technical than that. But for this example, you can think of your contact list as an example of a database. It's a place where data is stored and organized and can be updated from that particular place as well. Dynamic pages is one of the concepts that we'll be using heavily throughout this build. And dynamic pages are something that you guys see every single day. I may be aging myself here, but even from the dawn of MySpace, there has been dynamic pages. And the definition of a dynamic page displays different content for different users while retaining the same layout and design. We've been talking about Instagram a lot, and we'll stay on that focus of application. Think about different Instagram profiles. When you visit Jay-Z's profile, he has X amount of followers and he's following X amount of people, and he has different posts that pop up as opposed to when you visit Beyonce's profile. She has X amount of followers and she's following X amount of people. The layout is the exact same, but the information shown on the page is what changes. So that's what a dynamic page is, where the layout is completely the same, but the information shown on that page is not the same. If you guys have any questions or kind of shaky about some of these concepts, just let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to address them. Now, one thing, well, not even one thing, because it's a three-part topic. Next, we'll be looking at the differences between no code, low code, and native app development. We'll be using more of a no code / low code solution for this particular build, but you can look at this as the levels of your journey as a developer. Sometimes you may start off with no code solutions, work your way to low code solutions, and then find yourself in a space of native app development. That's ultimately where we want to get you guys to. So now that we have some of those terminologies and basic concepts down of what we're going to be using to finish this project, we're going to discuss the different forms of development that you can actually go through, and that being no code, low code, and native app development. Keep in mind that through no matter what you're using in regards to no code, low code, or native app development, a user is always going to be a user. Your user interface is going to be your user interface. The database is going to be a database. Dynamic page is going to be a dynamic page, and so on. A lot of those terminologies that we discussed are the basics, and those basics are going to be everywhere you go for the most part because they're the basics. Once you have those basic learning blocks, now you can build upon them. And one of the first ways you'll be building upon them usually is through a no code solution. So no code solutions are made to help non-technical founders build technical solutions. They do offer restriction because you can only build as far as that no code platform allows you to. No code is usually drag and drop. So if you say you want a URL, you want this button to click to this particular URL, there'll be a button within the no code solution that says input URL link right here. Then you'll have a publish button. It's very similar to building a website at times. And no code slash low code is something that we're going to be using for this particular build. So keep that in mind. In regards to difficulty, no code is beginner. That's beginner level in regards to difficulty, but it's also beginner level in regards to what you can create and how much you can customize. If you have a no code solution that doesn't allow certain color schemes, then you just won't be able to choose those color schemes if you're using that platform to build your solution. So keep that in mind as you guys develop your own technology. Secondly, we have a low code solution. So it is just like what it sounds like. No code is no code. Low code is an application development method that elevates coding from textual to visual. So now we're getting a little bit involved in some of the RGB colors that we want to have. Sometimes we get involved with certain gradients. Low code is something that we'll be using in WIP. So we'll be playing around a little bit with a little bit of HTML code. Um, it's not too difficult, and it usually goes along with some type of system that is drag and drop. So low code usually has a little bit of drag and drop to it, but it allows you to customize those drag and drop pieces to be a bit more precise for the function that you're looking for. And in regards to this, just popped in my mind, in regards to cost, no code solutions usually run for 10 up to $50 per month, depending on the platform, some $60 per month. Low code solutions are a little bit more expensive. They run from anywhere from 30 to possibly $100 per month. And the last one that we'll be discussing, which is the most complex of them all, they're usually just a software that you have to download. So native app development, once you all learn how to build native applications on your own, you won't be finding a lot of subscription-based plans to build your technology because you'll be able to download a software that allows you to write the code in that platform. So an example, so as we go into native app development, that is code that is made to run with a particular device. So again, we've been talking about Instagram throughout this particular episode. Keeping Instagram in mind, there at the Instagram headquarters, there is a team of people that work on the Android side of Instagram, and then there's a team of people that work on the Apple or iOS side of Instagram. So that is native app development. There is one particular app made for the Android version of Instagram, and there is one particular app made for the Instagram version of Instagram. And then there's one particular app made for the Apple version of Instagram. My apologies there. And as we dive deeper into it, there's one particular app made for Windows phones and so on and so forth. But native speaks to development that is made for that particular operating system. Myself, I am a certified iOS developer, but I do not know how to develop in regards to Android development. Can I learn that? Yes, no problem. Are some of the concepts that I learned within iOS going to be similar for Android? Yes, there is. But I am a native iOS developer, meaning that I build technology primarily for use on Apple devices. I hope everybody has their fingers ready to type fast. I hope everybody has their snacks ready to go over these next few lessons. Next week, we actually start coding. That's when we'll be diving into creating some rough sketches around our UI. How do we want a few things to function and actually getting our hands dirty and in the weeds of everything. So I look forward to seeing you all next week to where we actually start coding and putting road to the rubber. Now we understand some of the terminologies that we'll be using. We understand some of the concepts, such as dynamic pages that we'll be building. Now we're actually moving forward and putting rubber to the road and building that technology. And that's the fun part. Now, I do want to let you all know as we build, and I'll remind you as we go through the process, but as we build this technology, have fun with it. If you are seeing me create this application and it has a gray background and you want yours to have a white background with different color text, go ahead and do that. That's going to help you learn a lot more and a lot faster because I'm just showing you the building blocks. With those building blocks, you guys can actually create your own beautiful masterpiece. So as we close out, as always, we're always going to end with the why for this particular series, and that being that a lot of founders are held back by no code solutions. We spoke about that, those drag and drop solutions. This is a way to actually help you get out of that cycle and start building more custom technology. This is a great building block for anybody that is interested in moving forward in native development as you start working with low code solutions and becoming more and more integrated with them, you start to find the similarities between some low code solutions and native solutions as well. These are just the building blocks towards that. And lastly, it's a low cost way to bring your app or MVP to market. If you have a prototype that you're looking to create to show some friends or some potential investors or even a professor, low code or no code solution can be a great way to do that. And using and building apps with Wix is just how to do that. And that's what we'll be discussing. As always, there will be a Calendly link inside the description of this video if you all want to set up a 15-minute call with any problems that you're having or projects that you have in mind. And you guys be sure to follow us on Instagram at HBCU Hub. This is a Hub Academy production. We want to promote more diversity within tech, and we hope that this effort helps do so. So thank you guys for coming in today. Again, next week, have those fingers and snacks ready because we'll be diving into the thick of it and actually get the ball rolling on everything. So I'm excited that we have the concepts down. Now we can make the rubber hit the road and get things going.